Tonight from Colonial Life Arena in Columbia, South Carolina, two teams with their eyes on the postseason go head-to-head to break a tie for fourth in the SEC. You know about Tennessee, LSU, and Kentucky. One of these two teams in a great position to take over the number 4 seed in a double bye. Welcome, Tom Hart alongside Dane Bradshaw. So a lot in the line in this one. And you could say it could rhyme. This will be D versus 3 in this matchup tonight.
Ole Miss's 4-game winning streak. Yes, they have plenty of star power offensively, but it's been their defense that has just been locked down, holding teams to 64 points per game over that 4-game win streak. But it's not just shutting them down, it's how they're doing it with 11 steals, and look at the points off of those turnovers. So South Carolina must protect the basketball in the backcourt. And if they can't protect the basketball, good things tend to happen, as they have been red hot from deep. 40 of 69 over the past 3 games. This is not your typical Frank Martin, South Carolina grinded out team. They can shoot it pretty well.
It's reminiscent of that Final Four run when South Carolina averaged 88 points a game in the NCAA tournament, and their deepest run in school history just 2 years ago. They need to finish the flourish to make the big dance, but prime for good positioning in Nashville with the win tonight. South Carolina controls the tip. Trey Campbell will run the point for the South Carolina team, which is missing some personnel. Injuries have really besieged Frank Martin's squad. One of the reasons they got off to a slow start this season. Chris Silva's reinvented his game midway through the year, but couldn't finish on his first touch. Here's a look at the starting 5 for Ole Miss. 8-4 in conference play in the first year under Kermit Davis, who's been a conference coach of the year 8 times in his coaching history. The freshman, Blake Hinson, whose brother was with the South Carolina team until just recently, stepped away from hoops to focus on football, and Hinson has Ole Miss out up front. Silva had that one tipped, it seems. What makes Ole Miss so good defensively?
Everything they do with purpose. Whether it's on offense, the way they cut and screen; on defense, the way they bust through screens, they communicate. Really a mature team. They've got upperclassmen, and then the young guys that they have, like Hinson, they play with a swagger and a maturity to their game that's not typical of a freshman.
This drive starts from 35 feet out and finishes with a foul. Mike Kotsar with the aggressive move, and he picks up the foul on Dominic Olanichek.
Kotsar is a guy that is really important to this South Carolina team, but they've got to get more out of him. Lacking some confidence right now. They don't need him to be great. Just be a good role player. Try to get 8 points, 8 rebounds. That'd be a victory for South Carolina.
He had 14 in their matchup to end last season. Frank Martin in his 7th season as the head man here in the Palmetto State. 126 wins against 102 losses. South Carolina coming off of a comeback win against Texas A&M on Saturday. Kotsar goes 0 for 2 and then shoves Terrence Davis to the ground with a cross-body block. Kermit Davis from Leakesville, Mississippi. Took Middle Tennessee to the postseason a few times, including last year, and they had 12 road wins. A couple of big upsets in the postseason against Big Ten teams, Minnesota and Michigan State.
What a job he's done in year 1. Team picked to finish last in the SEC, and because of guys like that, Terrence Davis, they're looking at an NCAA tournament.
Davis averaging 15.5 points per game. I think you could look at Ole Miss this year, Tennessee last year, and say without any uncertainty that the media has no idea what it's talking about. Campbell banks it in. Tennessee was picked to finish 13th in the league last year. They ended up winning the whole thing in a tie with Auburn. Hinson was going down. Terrence Davis for 3. Got it.
He is great off the catch, but he's even better off the bounce. And if you're South Carolina, if you go under that screen or you switch, you better get out there in a hurry, because Davis likes to get that ball on the left-hand side, you up and pull.
Ole Miss coming off of a comfortable win midweek, this weekend, I should say, against Missouri. They turned the Tigers over 25 times and turned those into 32 Rebel points. Silva was alone for a moment. They didn't get it to him. Kotsar on the glass. Had it stripped away. South Carolina nearly had it back, but good hands by Devontae Shuler, sophomore from Irmo. Here's Terrence Davis.
And he'll just size you up, and he'll take you off the dribble. He's got good pull-up game, and You're not going to get that call, Keyshawn Bryant. You better stay on your feet. But what a strong start to this Ole Miss team. I mean, 8-2, going on the road against a very good South Carolina team, fighting for 4th place in the conference. I mean, this is how you get key road victories. It's a strong start out of the gate.
Devontae Shuler back home. Went to high school just outside of Columbia in Irmo, and I promised him I'd yell out an IRMO with his first bucket, and there it is. The Yellow Jacket off to a good start. He said he had to raid everybody's tickets tonight with family and friends coming to the game. I mean, Ole Miss averages 77 points a game, but I think they showed against Auburn that they can run playing different tempos. Kind of goes to Kermit Davis's coaching acumen.
He's got so much credibility with this team, and he said, look, these guys are starting to get it. If they have a bad game offensively and they're not getting consumed in that of how do I get myself going, it's all about how do we win as a team. And they've won ugly at times, but you got to do that. You got to grind it out. And again, the sweep of Auburn, I think, is what is probably the most impressive thing on their tournament resume.
They bring a double on Silva, can't quite get out of it, has to go up, draw the foul from K.J. Buffin.
And it's a good call. K.J. Buffin put his hand in the cookie jar there. No need to. You had him right where you wanted, suffocating him, but then all of a sudden you not only looking at a cylinder foul, but also a hand check there. So good job by Silva selling it.
Silva's so good at drawing fouls and one of the best in the SEC in getting to the line. Not only that, but also gets your guys out of the game.
Well, and that's what he needs to do right now. Is I wouldn't be surprised if South Carolina tries to bury him deep in the post inside that arc. That's where they like to start the game off. Just have not given him good quality touches.
That is the most simple yet effective sideline out of bounds play that you may see in the SEC. They run it all the time. Just dump it into Silva and get him deep.
Yeah, let him go one-on-one, and he's pretty good 10 feet in, but Stevens gets that forearm out. No call.
Here's the touch deep. Silva to the drop step. And it'll stay this direction. 11 seconds on the shot clock.
These are the type of teams that South Carolina hates to play against. I mean, they're quick, they're scrappy, they don't have as much size as South Carolina, but they make up for that in speed, IQ, and instincts.
Shuler with the steal. Ole Miss with a 3-on-2 break. The lob and off the glass. Ole Miss has started a perfect 5 for 5.
What we talked about in the open, it's the steals and the points off of those steals that has made Ole Miss so hot in this recent 4-game win streak.
Campbell puts up a 3, and Keyshawn Bryant gets fouled on the rebound.
And this is the thing to watch for. It's not a bad shot by Trey Campbell, but something South Carolina just doesn't have is that just elite floor general. When things get flustered, out of whack, who can calm everybody down, make sure they get a good quality look.
And I'm sorry you don't have one of those working with you tonight either. Here's Silva. To the left hand. Ole Miss has started this game 5 for 5, including 3 for 3 from deep.
This is just a textbook start on the road. I mean, what a job being prepared, executing the scouting report. Woo.
Stevens kicks it to the wing. Good ball movement to Terrence Davis. South Carolina, on the other hand, is just 1 for 7. AJ Lawson, the freshman, too strong. South Carolina's been a come-from-behind team this season, but they're digging themselves a deep hole here in the early going. Taken away by Campbell. Here's Lawson. Blocked, got it back, and gets the foul. Great start for Ole Miss in this one. They've only missed 1.
Live ball turnovers will kill you. And athletic, great instincts, high IQ, and an unselfish team. Easy baskets, Rebels up big early.
Studio update. Peter Burns back here in Charlotte. Vols lost by 17 to Kentucky last time we saw him on Saturday. Jordan Bone with the miss, but Grant Williams at the right spot. Right now, though, Vols down 3 at home. Back to Danny Tom.
All right, Peter, thanks. Yeah, it'd be amazing if Vandy could pull off that win on Rocky Top. You've seen Vandy a lot. Here's what else is going on in the league tonight, including Kentucky and snowy Missouri tonight, Alabama versus A&M. What do you like about Vanderbilt?
Not their record, of course, but I tell you what, I've seen teams struggle that have given up quicker than Vanderbilt has. I mean, there's no quitting these guys. They lose games because they're outmanned. Their opponents are more talented, but they play extremely hard. And I give Bryce Drew a lot of credit here for keeping that team together, because when you think about when you go through that many losses, how many post-game speeches can you have about handling adversity and sticking with it, yet they still have continued to fight night in, night out.
Well, we haven't solidified the bottom 4, although it's pretty close. Vandy 0-12, Georgia 1-11 with a couple weeks left in the season. And what's interesting is these two teams tonight, South Carolina and Ole Miss, both battling for the 4th spot. That included all tiebreakers if the tournament were to start today, and if it were, then we'd be late getting to Nashville. Lawson at the free throw line.
What I love on that, Tom, is the second round, most all those teams in there that would be facing each other, depending on who would win the first round, of course, but I mean, there's quality wins to be had early in the tournament. And so if you're a bubble team, that's a huge advantage, unlike previous years in the SEC where the only quality win may be a Florida or a Kentucky, but the depth of the league has been really advantageous for so many of the teams.
5 SEC schools in the top 25 of the NCAA's net. Get used to that acronym instead of the RPI. Here's Schuler. Skipped off the rim, and Hinson was pushing off. It's the first and the freshman. Before he went to break, Bruce Stevens picked up his second personal foul. It's the only thing slowing down Ole Miss right now. The Rebels on an 8-0 run.
But, Tom, we talked about it in the open about how this is not your typical Frank Martin team because of how well their offense is playing, and it's the first thing you talk about. But that does not suit Frank Martin. He believes in winning the battle on the boards, defense, and the free throw line. And we're seeing it right now. When your shot's off, what happens? They're not able to rely on their defense, so they better get back to the foundation that Frank Martin has built here.
Sonny Gravitt went to the barber, found his jump shot, and Silva fighting for the rebound. Gets another offensive board. 6 offensive rebounds for Carolina already early. Gravitt can't hit the reverse, and Silva got tied up. We got a jump ball. Will go back the other way for Ole Miss. What did you say to Hassani about his haircut today?
I thought it was pretty bold. I mean, this is a guy shooting over 40% from 3 before the haircut. Usually superstition won't allow you to change anything, but he cut the locks and stayed on fire from 3 last game. But I said, man, if you would have gone 0 for 10 last game, I bet you would have figured out a way to grow that thing back.
Yeah, he said it would have had to glue him back on. He was 4 for 7 for deep in the comeback win against A&M. Olenicek turns to the jump hook, and it will stay with Ole Miss.
Even when Ole Miss has missed the shot, they're getting the looks that they want. There's not enough resistance on South Carolina. Ole Miss wants to swing the ball. They literally track the number of turns they have around the court as they stack. And they're able to move the ball wherever they want, get to deep post position as well.
Rebels have started this game 5 for 8 from the floor and 3 of 5 from deep. Hinson gives it up. Tyree gets into the paint. And Olenicek put a hand to the face of Mike Kotsar. Olenicek, the junior from Torun, Poland, picks up his second. Play for the Polish national team, the FIBA under-20, then again with them this year. You know Torun, that's the birthplace of Copernicus, right?
Yeah, of course. Why do you educate me on things I already know?
It's silly. You already know that's where the Museum of Gingerbread is. And if you didn't, you're not going to challenge me now. Bryant, the freshman, had a bad game last time out. Frank Martin said simply, I can't replace you, so you're just going to have to play better. 0 for 6 against A&M. He's on the board now. First field goal in a 6-minute stretch for the Gamecocks. Devontae Shuler back home for the first time. Grew up just outside of Columbia. Hangs and can't hit. Bobbled on the breakout. Ole Miss wanted a carry. They must not be watching NBA refs on Twitter. Where does South Carolina go to offensively with this lineup?
It's a good lineup for him. Kotsar, he's going to have to look to kick it out. Look at Haase in the corner. I just don't like that look. Haase, 13 and white, wide open in the corner. That's what he's in the game for, to stretch the defense as a big man.
Haase, nearly a 40% three-point shooter on the season.
I saw this against South Carolina versus Arkansas. When they're on a team like this, where there's so many guards and they spread you out, I think South Carolina is best off playing some zone where they're covering a space instead of a man.
Campbell got free and then challenged, and the freshman KJ Buffin will pick up his second personal foul, and the fouls piling up against Ole Miss. Is their 8th team foul? Pardon me, their 7th. So free throws coming for South Carolina and Trey Campbell. Four-star recruit coming out of St. John's College High School in the D.C. area, then played at Georgetown.
This guy,
free throw shooting's been abysmal, Dan. 0 for 5.
It's amazing. As well as they've been shooting the ball from 3, you'd think they'd be able to shoot it okay from free, and not the case so far. Show man at the line, Trey Campbell, though, 51% from 3 in conference play. I think he's really been the catalyst of the three-point confidence this South Carolina team has had coming into today.
As poorly as Carolina has shot the ball, they're only down 8 here in the first 8 minutes. Blake Hinson gets all the way in. Carolina with a chance to run. Campbell, too strong. Campbell again. So it seems that Kermit Davis wants his team to be very deliberate on offense from a tempo perspective.
I think a lot of that is make South Carolina guard. Look at the bigs. It's because South Carolina doesn't have much depth at the guard spot. They have to play Haase and Kotsar against a smaller Ole Miss team, and Buffin's got to try to take his man off the bounce, but Kotsar and Haase really holding their own defensively.
They say forever to thee, now forever to D if South Carolina can slow them down. What does their postseason outlook look like? Going to the source, Joe Lunardi will join us right after this. SEC Network Basketball is brought to you by Zaxby's. Chicken fingers, buffalo wings, salads. Find a location at Zaxby's.com. Welcome back to Columbia, South Carolina. We've got the expert on the phone, Joey Brackett's with us to discuss bracketology. Here's where Joe Lunardi has SEC teams right now. Of course, a record 8 teams in last year. Joe, you've got Three teams as top four seeds in Tennessee, Kentucky, and LSU. How does the overall strength of the league play into some of these high seeds and the number of teams that you have in right now?
The committee will tell you that it doesn't count up bids from an individual conference, and there's nothing in the process which really allows for them to do that, and I agree. But secondarily, what we'll see is when you've got that many marquee teams at the top, Tennessee a 1 seed, Kentucky knocking on the door of the top line, LSU a dark horse Final Four contender, and on down the line, it gives teams in the middle and below many more opportunities for those quad one wins that seem to be gold to the committee these days. And I think that's what we're seeing in the SEC, and I think it's keeping a lot of the teams in the middle of the league alive.
Joe, we talked about South Carolina earlier today. 8-4 in conference, although the non-conference not as impressive as what they've done lately, despite having some injuries. Next three games, including this one, Ole Miss, of course, at Mississippi State, and then home against Alabama. If they can pull off those three, are they in your conversation as a bubble team?
I've got them on the board simply because of their 8-4 league mark. Now, interestingly, conference record is not one of the items on the team sheets that the committee members use in that room a month from now. You would think, well, why not? Because they view every game independently, and from their point of view, how you're doing against any subset of your total schedule is irrelevant. I disagree with that, but I don't have a vote, and this is how we'll get an Oklahoma showing in the field at, let's say, 4-9 in the league in the Big 12, and a South Carolina 8-4 not projecting at all because of a lack of quality elsewhere in their schedule. The comparable, very recent comparable, is Nebraska a year ago, which was 13-5 in the Big Ten, and historically that it would have been unheard of to miss the NCAA tournament, yet due to a lack of quality wins and poor metrics elsewhere, we all knew Nebraska was going to miss, and South Carolina is in a similar position here in 2019.
Ashani Gravett with the three following the Silva bucket, and South Carolina has suddenly gone on an 8-0 run. So you answer the South Carolina question, and just to reiterate to folks listening, they may finish in the top four, get a double bye in the SEC tournament, but see a host of other teams behind them in the league get in front of them. It did happen in the SEC a handful of years ago with Alabama in 2011. Let's focus on the top here for a quick moment. You have Kentucky and Tennessee, as we all do, as the favorites to win the league right now, with LSU right behind them. How important in a race for a number one seed will head-to-head wins be between Tennessee and Kentucky? And what other teams in other leagues are competing for those number one overall seeds?
Certainly, if Kentucky were now to sweep the Vols, it would be pretty hard to take Tennessee over Kentucky as a number one seed. But there's no certainty that that's going to happen in spite of Kentucky's lopsided and dominant performance the other night at Rupp Arena. And I just want to say for the record, just having me on this put South Carolina on a run. And you talked about them getting a double bye and having teams behind them. Remember, to get the double bye, they couldn't help but get some strong quality wins that would elevate them on the bubble. So there's still 3 weeks of regular season games that are going to factor into all of this.
Here's Chris Silva with the dish and another bucket for Carolina, and all of a sudden Joe Lunardi's getting greeting cards from the Palmetto State. Let's focus on Ole Miss for just one moment. This is the team that is well positioned to return to the postseason. How do you see their resume breaking down at this point?
We've got them in an 8-9 game. They've been as high as a 6, slid a little bit, but still 8-4 in the league. And you say, well, heck, South Carolina's 8-4 in the league. Well, Ole Miss has a net ranking of 30, and South Carolina, this is the NCAA's new toy for measuring teams. South Carolina is 94. And, a difference of 4 or 5 not matter, but a difference of 40 or 50 is pretty hard to miss. And this game is much, much more important for the Gamecocks than for Ole Miss.
It is now a 13-0 run for South Carolina. Chris Silva with the three. South Carolina fans are going to demand Joe Lunardi phone into every single Gamecock game from now until the end of the regular season. Joe, we got just one or two more for you before we let you go, Dane.
Yeah, last one for me, Joe. Alabama lost by 19 at Mississippi State, lost by 18 at home against Florida. What about their schedule and resume so far still has them in despite those two bad losses?
Well, we'll give them a very significant asterisk, which is they better find a way to win tonight at home against Texas A&M, or they may find themselves on the wrong side of the cut line, at least on our side, when they wake up in the morning.
Perfect. We totally understand, Joe. Thank you for your time. South Carolina fans, thank you for your luck.
My address is online. People can send checks.
It's Joe Lunardi, Joey Brackets. Back to the bunker with him. While he's been on, South Carolina's gone on a monster run. And they've done it with defense. They've held Ole Miss to 0 for their last 9. And 0 points over 7 minutes and 40 seconds before Chris Silva commits a foul. Always entertaining to hear Joe Lunardi break it down, but let's also break down what just happened in this game. South Carolina, while we're talking with Joe, got a chance to run, and they got transition points.
They allowed their defense to lead to offense, and they've got into a habit of, okay, our offense is so good, we don't have to be as focused on defense because they've been shooting the ball so well. But they got snapped back into reality real early in this game, but they have really turned it on and made life extremely frustrating and hard on these Ole Miss guards.
I want more Eminem lyrics from you later. Keyshawn Bryant committed that foul, not Silva, as we correct some bookkeeping. South Carolina with a 2-point lead. They've gone to the zone. They play zone about 17% of the time on the season. The turnaround jumper doesn't go, and Ole Miss has lost its mojo on the offensive end. Lawson kicks, grab it for 3. Got another! Terrence Davis will quiet the crowd. It was a 13-2 run. And then Gravett fouled in the corner.
And here's what happens. You suck the defense in. Penetration kills. Gravett to the right of your screen. Wide open. One of his favorite spots on the court. That's where Frank Martin wants them running in transition. And people tend to forget, because of Frank Martin's focus on defense and rebounding, getting to the free throw line, just how fast his team plays. I mean, he wants them pushing it, make or miss. Just one example right there.
They're top 20 in the country in time of possession on offense. They need just 15.5 seconds to get off a shot on average, but keeping with the defensive intensity, their opponents are 302nd in the country in time of possession. But a game of runs tonight, 13-2, then 17-3.
Should that have an asterisk of with Lunardi, without Lunardi?
Yeah, probably should. Back rim, here comes Gravett. Lawson finds Silva. Nice entry. Silva was scoreless until the 10:55 mark of this game. He's just 2 for 8 from the floor. And a bump on the perimeter. A.J. Lawson commits his foul. What a run. And Sonny Gravett with the corner 3, and South Carolina up.
Frank Martin, let's go on a little fast break. Down memory lane a little bit. Your mentor.
Shaky Rodriguez.
What's the best advice he gave you?
Be proud of who you are, believe in what you got.
Give me your best stare.
Wear a referee jersey.
Fast break with Frank Martin and Seth Greenberg, and South Carolina loving getting out on the break.
It's not just a one-man show, but Chris Silva's had his hands all over this run, whether it be on offense, defense, and South Carolina's at their best as an offense when they spread the court out with shooters, drive, share the basketball. 4 assists on 7 made baskets. I mean, 7 for 23 from the field, 2 for 8 from the free throw line, and yet they're winning the game. So what does that tell you? The fact that they buckled down on the defensive end, taking care of the basketball and doing the 2 things that Frank Martin wants them to win in terms of winning the rebounding battle and getting to the free throw line.
You saw the runs. Here's Ole Miss trying to get back on one. And you talk about South Carolina running. It goes against some people's conventional wisdom. You think about Frank Martin, as you were talking about being a defensive-minded coach, and the time of possession is opposite of that. It's like everybody's been lying to you about the llama farm this whole time. It did exist after all. South Carolina wants to run. They ran under Frank Martin in 2010 at Kansas State when they went to the Elite Eight, averaged 86 a game. And his team that ran to the Final Four, averaging 88 a game in the postseason. Bryant with the left hand. The freshman getting his game back on track.
And that's a really important possession because Ole Miss showed their aggressive zone for the first time this game. And so for South Carolina to handle that out of a timeout successfully is a big step for this young backcourt.
Olenicek short on the jumper. And the shot's blocked by Silva, one of the best shot blockers in the league. And then Lawson fouled on the other end.
Tom, earlier in this game, Ole Miss got whatever they wanted. They were swinging the ball. They could get it inside wherever they wanted. Right now, South Carolina is making Ole Miss settle for the shots that they want them to take. And it's leading to these fast break opportunities.
Dominic Olenicek picks up his 3rd personal foul. A.J. Lawson to the free throw line. It's a 9th team foul against Ole Miss, only 3 against South Carolina at this point. Olenicek is now going to come out of the game, replaced by K.J. Buffin. Freshman from Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, A.J. Lawson. Played with a couple of current SEC players, Simisola Shitu-Avandi and Andrew Nemhard, the reigning SEC Freshman of the Week, Florida's point guard. Nice move and a finish from Buffin. Bryant got free. What a move.
And that is his go-to move. He loves to spin back to his favorite left hand. Must know the scouting report. He is not a threat from the perimeter, but he is to drive.
In Knoxville right now, there's under 5 to go in the first half. And Tennessee with the lead, but Grant Williams is looking a little gimpy. Just took a hard fall on the floor. Reigning SEC Player of the Year. Battle for 4th place in the league here. Tyree with a nice feed and a foul on the freshman Bryant, his 2nd.
Keyshawn Bryant, again, you must know that he's a lefty, so he likes to spin back to his left, and that time just protects the ball like a running back going through the line. Beautiful finish for the freshman.
And then committed a foul on the other end, his 2nd, and it puts Luis Rodriguez to the free throw line. Freshman from Los Angeles by way of Woodstock Academy in Connecticut. First free throw attempt for Ole Miss tonight. Gravitt returns. He was a key part of that big South Carolina run with a pair of threes. Four-point South Carolina lead. Haase, no. Follow jam, Lawson. Wow! A poster and one.
Get the fans off of their feet. He times this one perfectly. Watch your head. Oh, my goodness. A.J. Lawson. And that right there is the new screensaver on his iPhone.
Bill Lawson back to the free throw line. 3-point play. South Carolina up by a touchdown. What a difference a call to Joey Brackets makes. Tipped away, stolen away. Grab it. Mismatch with Kotsar. And an offensive foul on the 6'7" Hinson going down. It's a 6'11" Kotsar.
Yeah, Ole Miss right now has the top scoring duo in the SEC. Breein Tyree and Terrence Davis. About 36 points per game, and we have hardly said their name at all. I mean, this South Carolina defense has Ole Miss playing completely out of character, too much one-on-one basketball. They've got to get back to sharing the rock.
Tyree is 0 for 3. Davis got off to a quick start. 10 points, but quiet late. Tyree rises. First bucket, good timing.
That's after a ball reversal. Too much one-on-one before you've swung it side to side.
He's averaging 22 points a game over his last 7. Short corner, kick wide, and it's taken away by Tyree. Ole Miss so good at turning the opponent over. They do it 13 times a game on average. Blake Hinson for 3, an air ball. Blind save to grab it. Three-ball Haase. Largest lead of the game for South Carolina.
And that's what he's in the game for. A pick and pop guy, especially against this zone. It is a tremendous advantage to spread the court out with 4 shooters, including your big man.
Another early shot without much movement.
I think one of the most underrated aspects of their defense has been Kotsar and Haase moving their feet on that switch.
Second three for Silva tonight. South Carolina rolling. Another timeout for Kermit Davis. The Gamecocks have opened up an 11-point advantage. They've done it thanks to 5 threes, a phone call from Joey Brackets, and this big dunk.
Even after you miss a 3, it's highlight worthy. A.J. Lawson, come get you some.
Coming up at half, Peter Burns, Pat Bradley. We give you highlights of Vols Vandy. That game going on in Knoxville right now. And we'll talk Kentucky and P.J. Washington. But what are you seeing in Columbia right now?
South Carolina is dangerous. Their ability to put together multiple stops in a row, and then they get out in transition. They're pretty good.
What a run right now. These guys have had a great run on Thin Mints, Girl Scout cookies. Dane Bradshaw, Tom Hart.
I got a living room full of them, still taking orders, by the way. How about the turnaround? Ole Miss started perfect, 5 for 5, 3 of 19 since. South Carolina has flipped the script as well. How did this happen?
I think it all started with the effort on the defensive end by the Gamecocks. Ole Miss got wherever they wanted to on the court in those first few possessions, and South Carolina realized, wait a minute, maybe we should think about being a defense-first team, and that has rewarded them on the offensive end.
It's currently a 6-0 run over the last 32 seconds for South Carolina. They've made 3 of their last 3. And remember what's on the line here. Yeah, there's 3 weeks left in the regular season. But right now, positioning for the number 4 overall seed in the SEC tournament, and a South Carolina team which truly struggled in the non-conference portion of play, trying to establish itself as one of the best in one of the best leagues in college basketball. Cutting is Davis. Fouled by Silva, and they'll count it. And Terrence Davis has his 12th. That's the first on Silva.
You got to cut without the basketball, and here's Terrence Davis going right down the lane. Terrific job of not just sitting on the three-point line, waving your hands, slash to the basket like the athlete that you are.
So free throw coming for Terrence Davis. You broke down where Chris Silva's fouls occurred. To some, it might look like the difference between a Coyote and a Cougar, but if you really dial in, there's a lot of differences in where they occur. Do you have a problem with that foul if you're Frank Martin?
You know, it's kind of wrong place, wrong time. I'm okay with that one. You know, he's in the paint in the middle of congestion. It's typically the hand checks, trying to get a charge or, you know, swatting down at the ball. But
wow, what a rejection by Bruce Stevens. Timed it perfectly.
Staying on that same note, again, Chris Silva has played more than 30 minutes in 3 straight games. That's a big reason why they're playing so well, as is he. And you're okay with the first one. To me, it's the hand check and the charge attempt. That's the one you got to get rid of.
Silva deep. Wow, it's that same inbounds from the side. You just dump it into your best player. Silva almost got charged with a foul there. Got just a piece of it on the reverse by Davis.
Yeah, just perfect angle on the pass. I mean, that's, like you said, out of a sideline, out of bounds, to get the ball 2 feet in the paint, that's too easy. Bruce Stevens, Ole Miss, you got to make it tougher on the catch.
Brian Tyree with the jumper. Junior from Somerset, New Jersey, averages 18.5 a game, second most in the league. And he's got 4. And 4 only here in the first 18 minutes tonight. Campbell tees one up. Confident stroke. An incredible outburst by the Gamecocks. They've made their last 6 threes. They are now 68 threes off the record with at least 9 games remaining in the season, off their school record. Tyree kept it himself the whole time. Got bailed out by Buffin. Campbell streaks down the floor. Back-to-back buckets for the Georgetown transfer. And Buffin turned his ankle.
You've already got Olenichek with 3, right? So
yep.
The front line's going to be a little thin, and former walk-on DC Davis going to get some action. They need a boost from somewhere. Right now, Ole Miss just kind of standing and watching ball screen action with Tyree. That's not who they are as an offense.
Zach Naylor, junior college transfer from Rutherford, who led his team with 18 points a game last year, only played 1 minute in a victory over Missouri. He'll be on for the last 90 seconds at least. along with Davis, who you just mentioned.
See, here's where they get the switch, and the big man's got to guard the point guard here. That's what South Carolina's doing such a good job of.
And on the flip side, they're able to get down, help out on Stevens. Silva wants it. And it was thrown away by Felipe Haase.
Boy, Silva's got to release and go get that one. I thought that was a pretty good pass. Just got to get away from the defender and go slam that one home.
Tyree takes it himself. Fouled on the jam attempt. It's the first on Gravett. And it'll put Breein Tyree at the free throw line. Breein Tyree's been fantastic on the road this season, averaging 21 points on 38% shooting from deep and 91% from the free throw line.
He's been outstanding. Again, a three-level scorer that can shoot it from three. He's got a terrific mid-range game, which is usually a lost art in some of these scorers that can only beat you from three or all the way to the rim. And then he can get to the rack, as he showed you right there.
1 of 2 from the line. Another board for Silva.
And this is where South Carolina's done such a good job in this first half. Just 5 turnovers that have only led to 7 points for Ole Miss. That's been the bread and butter for Ole Miss's current win streak, is their points off turnovers. Have not been able to rely on it tonight.
There's a turnover. Might lead to points the other way. Ole Miss to Tyree in the corner. And South Carolina will take the ball with about a 1.5 difference between the game and shot clock. Frank Martin will use a timeout. 4-game win streak. Ole Miss has used 19 opponent turnovers a game to turn into 23.5 points off of turnovers, but only 8 of those points so far tonight. 40-30 is the South Carolina advantage. What do you expect from South Carolina in the half-court offense here? We know what they're going to try to do on the side of inbounds at first.
I wouldn't be surprised if Ole Miss comes out in that trapping zone to try to force South Carolina to speed up instead of just letting them comfortably waste the clock down. Ole Miss is going to try to create a turnover, take some momentum into the half. So South Carolina wants to hold for the last shot, but at the same time, you're going to have to take care of the basketball. Ole Miss won't just let you dribble it out.
South Carolina 6 of 9 from deep, continuing their recent trend. We said D's and threes to start this game. 58% from deep in South Carolina's recent run. 42% from deep in SEC play.
It's that trapping zone that they got to be careful of. See, Ole Miss forces the turnover. You got to stay calm and patient. It's just playing keep away at that point if you're South Carolina.
So shot clock is off for Ole Miss.
See how I called that zone? I mean, I'm almost
really
Romo-esque. It's the first call I've had all season. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, you should do that more than once a game. We might bring you back next week.
I'm working on more than once a season.
Clock's at 8. Tyree gets it back to Stevens for 3. The big man can't knock it down. Offensive board. One last chance. Nearly had a foul, and we do at the buzzer. Gravett commits his second, and that'll be 3 free throws coming with no time on the clock. Doug Sherman's going to take another look.
This is the hustle by DC Davis. I mean, that's the type of thing that won't get talked about in postgame is DC Davis, the former walk-on, coming off the bench, making a play, and then clearly gets him with the body. But that all begins with that offensive rebound. And really where it all began before the offensive possession. South Carolina, if you take care of the basketball, you got at minimum a 10-point lead, all the momentum going into halftime. Don't give this Ole Miss team any reason to be feeling good going into halftime. And now here they are with a chance to cut it to 7.
Must have been frustrating. It's like being stuck behind the Ole Miss bus on the way in.
Can you not get over it?
The most
Jeez,
inconsiderate driver. Doug Shermans and I had this long discussion before. Took up the entire lane.
Have you ever driven a bus that big?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you know.
Ask me if I'm a bus driver.
Yeah, are you a bus driver?
No. Sherman's taking a long look. I mean, it seemed pretty obvious he got out of his fingertips before the light came on. And then if the foul occurred.
Clearly behind the three-point line, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
Referees have their routines too, right? They need to get in the arena. And Doug needed to stretch his hamstrings.
Well, maybe Doug's listening to you right now, hoping you'll continue to go on about the Ole Miss bus driver. You've delayed him. Everybody wants to know why this takes so long. It's because of the banter between Tom Hart and the officials. Clearly a 3. And
I think the question is, we know the shot's off. Does the foul occur after the clock? And that's what Doug Sermons has to figure out. And part of that was putting time back on. Remember, collaborative replay in the SEC, so getting some help from our friends in Birmingham. They'll put a 1/10 of a second on. And 3 free throws coming for Terrence Davis. Terrence Davis last week just 17 points total over 2 games. For the second leading scorer on this Ole Miss team. 4 30-point games in his career, second team preseason all-conference. Davis goes 2 for 3. What a run for South Carolina after an ice-cold start on a chilly night here in the Mid-State. They started 2 for 16. They finished 13 of 17. The only thing hotter, Pat Bradley's pocket square. He's standing by with Peter Burns.
All right, thank you, Tom Hart. Is Joe Lunardi calling in at halftime? I know South Carolina fans might like that, the way that on-air interview went earlier. Peter Burns, Pat Bradley, hi, welcome in. I promise we didn't plan this. It looks like I'm wearing Ole Miss colors. He's wearing South Carolina colors.
Change it up a little bit. You look great, though, man.
Thank you.
Love that jacket.
I appreciate that. $20 is headed to you.
Like
how about
sherbet,
how
greens.
good did South Carolina look? They started, they were 4 minutes in that game. They were down 11. Pat, you're like, what is happening? Something got into them after that under 12 TV time.
Well, I think it's a combination. Ole Miss, we know how explosive their guards are. They got Schuler, Tyree, and Terrence Davis. They can come at you quickly, and they can score very quick. Of course, their defense, they got active hands. They can score that way. So I think it took a little while for South Carolina. But here's it. Hassani Gravett comes off the bench, okay? He may be the most important sixth man in this league. He shoots the ball well. He brings that leadership, that toughness. And it's been a long time for Frank Martin to get him where he needs to be. So I think South Carolina, what makes them special in a very dangerous team and still a chance is Joey Brackets will tell you they still get a chance to make a run because they can string together defensive stops and score in transition.
They're shooting over 60% now in the last 4 games from outside on three-point land. See if it covers in the second half.
Right?
How about Tennessee Vandy? That game going on right now. Let's get you highlights of that. Vandy trying to get back on track after a drop in the game, or Tennessee rather, against Kentucky. Grant Williams, though, getting it rolling early. That's been the consistent part. I feel like Admiral Schofield's been struggling a little bit, but Grant always answers the bell, Pat.
Yeah, and look where he's getting all the shots, in that orange area, right? That's a high percentage shot where he feels comfortable. Everybody knows to get him the ball right there.
How about Lamonte Turner? Remember, he went 0 for 7 against the Wildcats. That's
not like a little
three-point play.
That's like a little home court advantage, right?
Moments later, getting it done as well.
Kind of medicine that you like. Of course, he's not going to shoot bad 2 games in a row. So it's just a matter of time.
He'd have 10 points at half, also 5 boards. Grant Williams would have 8. Tennessee leads 36-27. How important is that you needed to see something from Tennessee after the way that they got absolutely shellacked at Rupp Arena on Saturday?
Well, you got to look at it from a couple ways. First of all, Tennessee, they go from number 1 to number 5. Okay, yeah. 1 loss at Kentucky, who is the top 5 team as well. So I know they don't look at that, but we can look at that and say, well, sure, but the teams ahead of them didn't lose, so where do you slot them? The second thing is Vandy took them to overtime, had every opportunity to beat them.
It's a rivalry game.
It's a rivalry game, so you're going to have all their attention. With Tennessee, though, they're so mature, experienced, that it's not like a loss is going to get their attention.
But does it get your attention that Admiral Schofield struggling from the field yet again? It seems like the last month he hasn't been very sharp.
That's right, but he's somebody who's going to find it, and it's up to his teammates to get him in that position. Yep. Bone understands that. Grant Williams understands that. His teammates understand. Let's get Admiral going. Because it's not going to be a long time before he finds his rhythm again, and they're going to need him down the stretch.
Remember they
get a tough stretch.
I was going to say the Vols go to Baton Rouge against LSU.
Arguably the toughest stretch run in the league. Tennessee has to finish out, PB.
And they still get Kentucky back in Tennessee here in a couple of weeks. All right, we got a lot more coming up in this game, but Well, Terrence Davis trying to get something done. He's got 15 points for the Ole Miss Rebels, keeping them in that ball game, but they're down 8 to the Gamecocks at half. I had below. A&M, Alabama, ready to go. Snowy Reed Arena. Are you ready for this one? TJ Starks, remember the last two times? Well, they are playing indoors, right?
Right.
An hour left until we got tip-off of that game. Remember, TJ Starks, 25-footer off of one leg for the game winner in that first game. Looking forward to that one in the game. Really, Alabama needs to have underneath their belt. P.J. Washington has been a man, a myth, a legend. Look at that. In SEC play, 7 of the last 8 games, 20-plus. What makes him different, and how has he started to shine in conference play?
Well, I think he understands now, and so does his teammates, where he is so good at getting the ball, and that's on that left block. He's so good with that right-handed hook on that left block.
No.
He can get it at the free throw line, too, PB, where he can knock down that shot, so you got to respect it, or he can put it on the floor and finish. He's as strong as anybody you need. He's got length. He can get up quick. He's shooting the three at over 40%, 44%.
Is he now the guy, though? Because for Kentucky, we've been asking about that for the first couple of months, is who is the guy that takes over? Is he the guy going forward for Coach Cal's squad?
And the great thing about him is Coach Cal can drop a play. He knows. See, there's one thing about being able to drop a play for somebody, but to know that that guy is going to be open. He's physical enough to demand space inside, right? Nobody is going to be able to stop him from getting where he wants on the floor. You just see right there, no matter where he catches it, he loves that left side. He's going to be able to get into the rim. He plays through contact. As a matter of fact, he loves that contact. So when Coach Cal draws up a play, he can trust that P.J. Washington is going to be where he's supposed to receive the ball, and then he is going to either score it for you, he's going to get to the free throw line for you. So he comes through. It's nice to have a guy like that when you're a coach drawing up a play.
Cuonzo Martin, though, in Columbia, that's going to be a tough place to play, especially have such an emotional win at Rupp. Are you worried a little bit for the Wildcats here?
There's always that concern, but they've been such a good road team because they take care of the ball. They get points in the paint. Matter of fact, the third best in the country getting high percentage shots in the paint.
Joe Lunardi has them as a 2 seed right now. We'll Have that one game on ESPN a little bit later, but the game right here on SEC Network, Chris Silva getting it done. When he's not in foul trouble, the man delivers. He's got 10 points at a half. Gamecocks up 8. Ready for this? Mississippi State, Georgia, Arkansas, Auburn. You're in for both of those?
Yes, count me in.
You will be in the house. SEC ESPN Network and always streaming live. You're out and about over on the ESPN app. But right now, A.J. Lawson's been lighting it up, Pat Bradley. And while he doesn't have a big half, only 4 points, these two were monster. And one mixtape style. Throw it down, big man. Gamecocks up 8. Second half coming up after the break.
What a weird first half here in Columbia, South Carolina, as we get start for the second. South Carolina leads Ole Miss 40-32. Tom Arnold alongside Dane Bradshaw. A game of runs, and South Carolina turned it up defensively, and that allowed their offense to get going.
Yeah, maybe they got a little arrogant with their offense, and they forgot about defense. Well, they turned it up after Ole Miss got up early, and boy, did they get rewarded. I mean, so much traffic in there for Ole Miss, and then South Carolina pushes it so well. So many shooters they have spreading you out. That's how you get into rhythm offensively, is letting your defense lead the offense. Chris Silva doing a terrific job of disrupting the game on the defensive end without fouling. And South Carolina just picking up where they have left off. 43s in the last 3 games coming into tonight, and here they are. Everybody getting in the action.
14 of Carolina's 40 points have come in the paint, 12 from the bench. They started the game just 2 for 16. And after Ole Miss went on a 13-2 run, South Carolina answered with a 17-0 run. Terrence Davis is 15, the rest of the team 17. Breein Tyree is averaging 22 points a game over the last 7. Has just 5 points through the first half. Two-way tie for 4th in the SEC, behind the big 3 in the league. Tennessee, Kentucky, and LSU. And right now, Tennessee leading in the second half by only 6 against Vandy over on ESPN. Later tonight on ESPN, Kentucky travels to Columbia to take on Mizzou. Kotsar left it short. Of these two teams, what's the bigger surprise for you as Stevens throws down the dunk? With both of them in 4th place right now at this point of February.
I don't think it's any question, really, the Ole Miss Rebels. The way they were picked to finish 14th in the league. You knew the cupboard wasn't bare, but just to get this team to buy in so quickly. But South Carolina in their own right, when you saw them in non-conference, I don't think there's anybody that, if you did a preseason or a pre-conference poll after seeing non-conference, a lot of people would have picked South Carolina at the bottom. So here they both are, have just grinded their way through the season, put themselves in a position for postseason.
A.J. Lawson from the corner. We're going to show you why A.J. Lawson loves the corner 3 so much. In the NBA, it's easy to explain from a distance perspective and ability to spread the floor. Now South Carolina has adopted that same philosophy.
So much of it is about the highest percentage shot on the court, because it's also the most open spot in the court where defenders typically get lost, not seeing man and ball.
It's not Dane Bradshaw. He would defend you 94 feet corner to corner.
I would give up a few points.
Here's Kotsar. Got it to go in the foul. It's a second on Hinson, and Mike Kotsar getting physical for his first bucket.
He doesn't have many moves, but the one he has is a straight line drive to the left. You must force the big man right. See if that can't get Kotsar a little more confidence.
Did he come back down before he got rid of that? Maybe.
That's semantics.
Junior from Tallinn, Estonia. Learned from Andy Kennedy in the Kentucky game. They're big on potatoes over there. It's a conversation for postgame, probably.
I'll tell you, South Carolina would have close to a 20-point lead if they make their free throws. It's just 4 for 12 at the line so far.
Silva tried to lead Lawson backdoor, but South Carolina turns it over. Talking with Devontae Shuler before the game today, and Dane, I know you've had Ole Miss a number of times this year. The difference in coaching styles between Andy Kennedy and Kermit Davis, and the one where Devontae hooked onto when we were discussing it was accountability. He said AK would allow us to run more of a pro-style offense. You could get up shots, but sometimes it would make us very selfish as a team.
And I think what's really important too is how quickly they've seen the results from what Kermit Davis has asked them. I mean, it's really easy to buy in when it works right away. And so I think a big part of it too is Devontae Shuler assuming full primary point guard duties and bringing Tyree working off the ball.
Keyshawn Bryant with the buck. Well, part of that, as you just alluded to, is the fact that there was talent in the program. So you install a new offense, you have guys that can execute it because it's a very talented team, as they were last year. But motivation was oh my God. Breein Tyree just put his head above the rim, and he's only 6'2".
He will want that one back. I mean, there's not many times you get a chance to get a footer. This is almost 7 feet.
A
poster.
A
yeah,
footer?
If a guy's 7 foot and you dunk on him, you say, I got me a footer. That's
learning something.
Yeah.
So it was a second on Silva, and what a difference it makes when he's in foul trouble. South Carolina, a sub-500 team by a wide margin when he commits 4 or more. But in his current run of the last 3 games, he's averaging only 3 fouls a game, and that has coincided with an 18-point, 12 rebound a game performance over the last 3. Campbell spun right back into the defense.
Yeah, but you're 15 seconds in, you've made 1, now 2 passes.
Lawson blocked by Stevens. He'll key the break, and he threw it right past Kermit Davis's fine-looking sport coat. I like Kermit in the SEC. I like the fact that he doesn't feel the responsibility to wear a tie. Maybe our bosses should take notice.
It's amazing the success he had against the SEC at Middle Tennessee State. This old habit. Here he is now 4th in the league.
His dad made the trip, former head coach at Mississippi State. Lawson cuts down the lane.
As everybody predicted 20 years ago, his dad would travel to come see him as a head coach and cheer on the Ole Miss Rebels.
That's right. Tyree from the elbow. And Kermit wants him to double check that one. Should stay this direction. Pat Driscoll will help out Patrick Evans. Lob to Silva, and Stevens gets whistled for the hold. That's the 3rd on Stevens. Remember, Dominic Olejniczak, a 7-footer, playing with 3 fouls. He'd have sit the last nearly 7 minutes of the first half, and he'll replace Stevens.
And when you guard Silva, you've got to have great footwork. I mean, you cannot take a second off. Here he is getting a wide open look. But Stevens, he just has to work harder in the post. And you can't hold and just lean on guys, and that's where conditioning really comes in against a superstar like Silva.
Tyree lost it on his way in. Ends up with Hache. Campbell transition 3. It's almost like Campbell took stock of where they were, the 5-on-3, and said, we got a good chance of getting the rebound if I do miss. Hache with the board. South Carolina tonight has 13 offensive rebounds. They have 10 second chance points to show for it. 9-point lead when we return. Dane will walk us through 3-ball corner pocket. I'll have the message. about South Carolina has a 9-point advantage at home over Ole Miss, and it's a new school attack by trying to get in the corners.
They love the corner three. It's all about spacing for Frank Martin. In transition, they are told to sprint to these corners. So the offensive opponent, A.J. Lawson in this case, he knows when he penetrates, he knows that that man is in the corner wide open. Hassani Gravett, cock, ready, aim, fire. And then just in the zone out of the baseline, here's A.J. Lawson. He's just going to hang out right there, hiding on the baseline, and then he's going to find his spot against the zone in the corner. And this is why the corner three is the highest percentage shot in college basketball. Many times it's because of how open you get left over there, because it's so much harder to see man and ball and being aware of where your player is. And A.J. Lawson has been extremely hot from three. As you go back and look at all his SEC threes, 12 of 22 have been made from the corner. Only 2 of those have been unassisted. So that tells you as a defense, you better be there on the catch, make him put it on the floor, and know where he is at all times.
I love that. People talk about the three ball in the NBA and the corner three being so key, and I always thought that it was strictly a distance situation, but as you explained this afternoon, it's not just the distance, but more importantly, where the defense is.
And it's a backbreaker for defenses because it usually means somebody's penetrated on you, gotten in there, and everybody's had to suck in. And so it's the perfect storm.
And look at that. Then it can lead to a back cut. And a 2 for Tyree, trying to get 3 the old-fashioned way.
And that's a beautiful play. Tyree likes to get this handoff from Olejniczak, so he's going to set up the handoff and put on the brakes. Hassani Gravett gets backdoored.
So we need to put that into the next edit, how the corner three leads to overplaying in the back cut.
It does, and you don't get that backdoor unless you're a 3-level scorer and a threat from the outside. Because Hassani Gravett has to overplay on Tyree because he doesn't want to get caught on that screen by 13 in red. Gets the back door. Nice play call by Kermit Davis.
And you saw what was most important on that is Chris Silva picking up his third and going to the bench here with 15:20 to go and a 7-point lead. Lawson. Terrence Davis has it. Davis never gave it up. Devontae Shuler has it knocked away. Sloppy possession for Ole Miss. Bringing Tyree will reset. Followed by Shuler, and Gravett tripped him up.
Just being persistent, as sloppy as it could be in that possession for Ole Miss, and somehow, some way, they come out on the better end of it.
Devontae Shuler back home, played his high school ball at Irmo High School, a former Yellow Jacket, before spending a couple of years at Oak Hill, where he played with, among others, Harry Giles. And you may have heard of the South Carolina Hornets, the AAU team that he played on as a youngster. Matt Figger was telling me last week he was the best player on the team. Why is that notable? Well, Devontae Shuler played with John Morant and Zion Williamson. Zion from Spartanburg, Ja from Dalzell, not far away from here. Those two guys are the projected #1 and #3 overall picks in this June's draft. I asked Devontae about it earlier today, and he goes, yeah, they kept growing. He said Zion especially, that dude's arms are huge.
You talk about a squad on the AAU scene.
Nicholas Claxton was later on that same team, although not on the same roster, and he's the star for Georgia currently. Follow tip from Zach Naylor. Ole Miss has made it a 4-point game.
And what happens? Silva goes to the bench. Right away, 2 offensive rebounds for Ole Miss. Now all of a sudden the momentum starts to be in the Rebels' favor.
Gamecocks have missed their last 7. Ole Miss on a 7-0 run. Kotsar has it blocked.
He's got to make better decisions, Tom. Ole Miss is attaching to all the shooters on the perimeter, making him create one-on-one plays. That's not his game. Go dribble handoff. Like, don't take the bait. You don't have to take this one-on-one play. Go find a guard, dribble handoff, set a ball screen with it.
Alonzo Frink draws the foul on Naylor.
The Tom Hart special on the out-of-bounds play on the side. Just a simple post-up is how they get it. And Frank giving him some nice minutes. He has not played as much lately because Silva has been on the court without foul trouble, but staying ready for the opportunity. Big and one there.
Frank, a New Jersey native out of Roselle Catholic. You learn the more you work with me. I'm only allowed to scout one play a game, and the only thing I scouted was that sideline out of bounds.
It's beautiful.
Schuler tried to force it inside, turned it over. No numbers for Carolina. Frank looking for a touch. Rebounded by Schuler. He'll push to Tyree. Beautiful move, and the reverse goes for Brian Tyree.
That's just sick. Brian Tyree.
Lawson on the other end, and one.
Here comes Lawson with the and one. You can't blink, and if you're in retreat mode, he's going to come at you. And Brian Tyree, though, a few more style points, doesn't get the and one. A lot of speed in this game. Terrific guard play. Gosh, that is as tough of a two as you're going to find.
Carolina still struggling from the free throw line. Ripped out of there by Luis Rodriguez. Just 4 for 14 from the stripe for South Carolina.
Tom, doesn't feel like South Carolina's been dominating this game other than those opening minutes.
Yeah.
Yet here we are. 6-point game, Ole Miss with the ball. I think the Rebels are doing a really nice job just hanging in there in the second half.
Here's Schuler. Just beat the shot clock but didn't knock it down, and then taken down to the floor. And a South Carolina travel. Home crowd thought there should have been a foul. Frank Martin wondering.
See if we got hit on the bottom there, causing the fall. May have been some contact on the way up.
I kind of thought it was his own teammate that was bracing him and then left, but maybe I'm crazy.
Well, we know you're crazy. I'm not sure you're wrong. But.
You knew I was crazy when I was preaching the value of llama wool earlier this afternoon. We got a foul on the baseline, and that will go against Alonzo Frank, not the defensive possession Frank Martin was looking for.
I think both teams' bigs getting a little out of character. I mean, Bruce Stevens is not a put it on the floor guy. I mean, it's a little bit of a bump, but that's probably reason to be upset there if you're South Carolina. But two physical guys and a lot of muscle and weight there. This is where Stevens likes to pop.
Looked for it. Instead, it's a drive for Tyree. What effect? And now South Carolina will push. Conversation delayed. Lawson, no. Bryant got shoved underneath. And he'll go to the line.
We got that Tyree pick and roll.
So fourth on Bruce Stevens. Silva's still on the bench. He's committed 3. And Keyshawn Bryant to the free throw line. What effect does Stevens' pop have on the drive after the screen?
It means the world to a guy like Tyree, where if Stevens' man helps too much, he can pop it back to his shooter. I mean, this guy's as good in the ball screen as maybe Tremont Waters. Now, Tremont Waters is the best in the league, but Tyree's not far behind him. And when you get that action and you explode through the trap the way Tyree does, to your point, it only works at its best when the screener is a threat, and Stevens is that.
Tyree was 6 in the second half. Silva a spectator for now. It's a 6-point game. Tyree for 3. Bryant saved it.
He can make that, but they haven't stopped you going to the rim.
Lawson for 3. And bringing Tyree may have turned his ankle coming down for that rebound.
Everybody starts to feel better when the ball hits their hands. Yeah. All of a sudden, you get real healthy when it's time to shoot. Here it comes.
Feels so good when it hits your lips. Here's Tyree. To Olenicek, who was all alone. Nice touch.
That was a nice no-look pass if you show Tyree's eyes on that.
Frank. Not the prettiest, but it goes. He's got a half dozen.
They will take it. I mean, 6 points from Frank coming in this game is not something South Carolina thought they would have, but big man doing a nice job filling in for Silva on the bench.
Tyree, one-man game, lost it. 7 seconds remain in the shot clock for Ole Miss. How about Breein Tyree looking the opposite way for the assist?
Get the ball in his hands. He's going to look you off to the corner. And then don't forget about your big man, Olenicek, trying to bring him back.
It's been a fantastic turnaround for Kermit Davis in his first season at Oxford. This was a 12-win, 20-loss team last year. They're already at 18 wins this season for a squad picked to finish last in the SEC and started the season by winning 13 of the first 15 on a 4-game win streak thanks to Breein Tyree, the second-best scorer in the SEC. And they're trying to get back to the tournament. How about our friend Andy Kennedy back in the 2013 SEC Tournament Championship? Marshall Henderson was out of his mind that tournament. Maybe always, but out of that tournament on the court, he was amazing.
Oh, man, you love a good villain where the opposing team's fans hate him and his fans love him. Marshall Henderson, a name nobody will ever forget. And really, the pavilion at Ole Miss, arguably the best arena in the conference, in large part to the success that Marshall Henderson and that Rebels team had.
$96.5 million pavilion at Ole Miss, and Kermit Davis has been worth every penny since his hiring. 5 NCAA tournament appearances, 3 at Middle, 2 with the Vandals of Idaho, 8-time conference coach of the year. His dad was SEC coach of the year at Mississippi State back in the late 70s.
I think the first thing he had to do was re-recruit his team, because so many times people transfer after a coaching change, but this guy right here, Terrence Davis, bought into what Kermit Davis was selling. Tyree stayed as well, and here they are on the path to redemption.
Terrence Davis has 17 now. I say picked up his dribble. Shot clock will get into the single digits. Olenicek helps out on Campbell, and the pass was too strong for Frink. Remember, Chris Silva has 3 fouls. He's still on the bench right now.
These guys it's tough on them knifing through that defense, but when you have physical guards like Davis and Tyree that can finish in traffic, that's what makes them so valuable in the top scoring duo in the SEC.
Terrence Davis with an air ball from the wing.
That corner three doesn't work every time.
No. But it is fascinating. Here's Lawson down Main Street. Watch the way South Carolina is able to spread the floor with shooters in the corners. One of the reasons that was open for Lawson. Hinson from deep.
He better make it, because I think Kermit Davis is going to be pretty mad that he didn't hit his 7-footer down low with a point guard on him. But three's better than two. They'll take it.
First make from deep this half for Ole Miss. South Carolina just barely beat the 10-second mark, and then a cylinder foul on Devontae Shuler.
They're going to get the switch and short closeout. Hinson, I just love the type of attitude he brings to the table. And gosh, that's as wide open of a lane and easy of a bucket A.J. Lawson's ever going to have. No help. Got to see man and ball if you're Ole Miss. But despite that, again, if I'm Ole Miss, I really like the way the tempo of this game is going.
They beat Auburn 60-55 by slowing it down. Gravett gives it up. Silva back in the game for South Carolina. Foul fest between he and Olenicek. Ole Miss was +4 during that time that Silva was on the bench. Tyree got the mismatch on the perimeter. He's got 15. Silva wanting it. Double from Hinson. A fistful of jersey and a face rake will get Hinson his third personal.
This is why the ball screen's so good. If you set a good one, there's going to be a switch. And now you got your big man trying to guard one of the best guards in the entire SEC. They've done okay at this up to this point, but it's something that Tyree and the Rebels are going to take advantage of throughout the game.
So the 1-point game, Chris Silva will go to the free throw line. 76% from the line on the season. His first free throw of the night has earned him another. Coach Saw will return. South Carolina will have its starting front line on the floor for the first time in a long time. Two for two for Chris Silva. 3-point lead for Carolina.
We're seeing a pretty tired Brian Tyree right in front of us. Been grabbing his shorts. Got another media timeout's coming. Just got to suck it up. Keep working these ball screens.
Hinson falling back. Olenicek finds it. Shot clock at 9. Tyree sees the shot clock. Can't penetrate. They got to get it up quick. Turnaround from Hinson. Oh, the freshman nails it. A deep two for Blake Hinson, whose brother was on the South Carolina team up until about a week ago. They both played for their dad in Deltona, Florida, before Blake went on to Sunrise Christian Academy in Wichita. Silva draws a foul on Olenicek. That's his fourth. How about the freshman Hinson?
Oh, man, his older brother, a football player, taught him how to be tough. Clutch down the stretch. Hinson. Nice buzzer.
battle for fourth place in the league. 1-point game, 7:37 to go. Let's take a look at tonight's good hands play, brought to you by Allstate.
26 points in the paint for Ole Miss, and it's not because they're dumping it down the post. It's because they're putting their head down like a fullback, trying to get into that paint and finishing through traffic. And it's not just Tyree, it's his running mate, Terrence Davis. Such physical guards. Again, two of the best in the SEC. The top scoring duo in conference play, 36 points per game. Tonight, 30 already, trying to will their team from behind.
And it's been more of a second half performance for this dominant duo in the backcourt. Brayan Tyree, the junior from New Jersey, Terrence Davis, a senior from just outside of Memphis in South Haven, Mississippi. Chris Silva to the free throw line. He has drawn 6 fouls so far tonight. And he is now a perfect 3 for 3 from the free throw line. Roselle Catholic's been good to South Carolina. Silva and Frink.
Another big Roselle Catholic star in this league, Naj Reid at LSU.
Yep.
They're all teammates together. He has been making a name for himself his freshman campaign.
Former Kentucky star Isaiah Briscoe played there. Shot clock winding down in Ole Miss. Turned over. Here's Lawson behind the back. And it's rejected at the rim. Ole Miss wants to run the other way. 3-on-2. Good transition D by South Carolina.
I mean, that's why you love Terrence Davis. Terrence Davis sprints back, doesn't sulk after his teammate turned it over, made a huge block on the other end.
Into the paint, leaner good. Brayan Tyree. 1-point game. Here, Kotsar trying to drive. Throws a foul on Zach Naylor. 19 foul.
And look at the hustle. Terrence Davis gets back, plays without fouling, and then that eventually leads to this bucket as Tyree comes off multiple screens there. And there's no question in this game, it is about, can South Carolina make other players besides Tyree and Davis beat them? So far, it has been the two guards that have carried this Ole Miss team.
Mike Kotsar, junior from Tallinn, Estonia, by way of Sunrise Christian Academy in Wichita, Kansas. At 14 points in the matchup last year that ended Ole Miss's season and advanced South Carolina in the SEC tournament in St. Louis. Ole Miss led early. South Carolina went on a run, and the Rebels will have a chance to reclaim the lead. Lawson with the foul. And Silva went flying over the top. And he's a little banged up.
Here's how Davis gets open. Right there, he's going to come off this back screen. And Davis just wide open at the bottom. And looked like it could have been an and one, but no. Good block. I don't think it was a goaltend.
Yeah, that's what Davis was asking for, thinking the ball had been taken away after it went off the backboard. Felipe Haase will return. And with a chicken biscuit if he misses this one. Sandwich, biscuit, who cares? We all win. And Terrence Davis denies him. He's got 18.
I think last time I heard you in this building, you gave an unnecessary cheer to us Tennessee fans.
The game was already decided.
Yes! I loved it. If anybody gave me a grief over that, they're wrong.
Silva deep. I mean, it really doesn't matter. Chick-fil-A, Bojangles, Zaxby's, just give us free chicken. It's a fourth on Blake Hinson.
Again, Blake Hinson just has to do his work early. Look, he's not working hard enough. He just isn't. He's leaning on Silva. If you just lean on him, they're going to throw it right over the top in good post position. This is not your typical big man. You're going to have to move those feet and try to discourage the pass.
Silva from the line again. Circus shot won't go. Neither will the follow from Stevens. South Carolina trying to add to their advantage. Here's Silva deep. Double comes. Campbell to grab it from deep. Tied up, it'll stay this way. How about the action out of the double team by Chris Silva?
Yeah, good job getting out of the double team. Dangerous pass, but Trey Campbell, as Jimmy Dykes would say, it's not the extra pass, it's the right pass. Hassani grab it, ready to shoot. He has been sizzling hot this season. I mean, this is a guy you did not talk about as a three-point shooter a year ago. 27% coming into the season on his career at South Carolina. Now he's over 40 as one of the top gunners in the SEC.
You going to start quoting Jimmy's country lyrics too?
Hey, we're all a team here. I mean, I don't have an original thought, an original quote, but I surround myself with pretty good people.
I forgot the name of his song.
Was that when they were in Nashville?
Yeah. And achy breaky heart kind of tune. Here's grab it. Carolina up 5. Silva behind Stevens.
I just can't say enough about the need to get somebody else in there. And Olenichuk's going to come in right now for Bruce Stevens because that's just not good enough defensively.
7-0 run for South Carolina.
The challenge is your offense runs better with Stevens in the game. So you got to bring in defense for offense with Olenichuk.
Gravett went down hard after getting a buck.
See, he's just going to lean on Silva. Just lean on him. That's not post defense. And one in red and blue on the backside's got to recognize that lob's coming over the top. If Silva doesn't have to dribble the ball in his post move, you're done. I mean, he's going to make that 10 out of 10 times.
Silva scored 8 out of the last 11 for South Carolina. Now Hassani Gravett, fifth-year senior out of Villa Rica, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. Remember the Final Four team a couple of years ago, trying to get South Carolina back to the postseason. Keyshawn Bryant back on the floor. Balanced attack for the Gamecocks. 4 different players in double figures tonight. Gravett's got a dozen. The lead is 9 thanks to a 9-0 South Carolina run. Tyree working on Hasse. Gets the big in the paint, draws a foul, maybe from behind on Bryant. And we've got a timeout after Keyshawn Bryant picked up his third. 9-point game, under 4 to go from Columbia.
Studio update from Knoxville. It's not going to win any awards. It wasn't pretty, but it looks like Tennessee is going to pull away from the doors. Grant Williams with 14 and 11. Vandy going to lose 14 games straight, the longest in program history.
Well, we're all about awards. Dane's riding a blue ribbon right now. Here's what South Carolina's tournament resume looks like. The BPI and the net are not very impressive. Joey Brackett's had on earlier says out. But why this game is so important, chance for a quality win, especially you look at what they have coming up on the schedule.
No question about it. I mean, and this game is so important because it's not that there's necessarily bad losses up there, but you just can't lose at Missouri, at A&M, Georgia. So where do your quality wins come from if that's missing from your resume? You have tonight, and then at the top of your screen at Mississippi State, Alabama. Including today's game, your next 3 are against teams projected to be in the field. So if you can get that added to your resume, now all of a sudden you get Lunardi's attention and the selection committee.
Here's what Joe Lunardi has as of today for bracketology. 3 top 4 seeds. Ole Miss and Auburn would be dangerous 8 seeds. Alabama and Florida among the last 4 and as of now. Brean Tyree. Strong second half. 4 of 6 from the floor. And 11 points. Tyree knocks them both down. Quick to Silva. And the jumper goes for Felipe Hache.
The patience, the lack of panic on that possession, moving the basketball. That's why they only have 10 turnovers in this game, which has not allowed Ole Miss's defense to lead to any fast break points.
Gravett controls it. 3 minutes to go. The lead is 9. And Dane, you outlined the quality wins or the lack of quality wins remaining on the schedule in the regular season for South Carolina. If those games go as predicted, with a win here tonight, you're looking at a team that would be 13-5 in the league going into Nashville. Here's Gravett from the corner. Got it! Another big triple. The lead has grown to 12 thanks to a 14-2 run. Devontae Shuler was hoping for a better homecoming. Told me before the game today, I want everybody in this building to know that I made the right choice by going to Ole Miss. He has struggled. Just 2 of 7 shooting and a couple of turnovers with a product out of Irmo High School. Grab it. And the foul on the floor on the rebound will go against Hache.
Again, penetration kills. Drive, draw, dish, grab it, catch, and stick. 14-2 run. And this is a game that Frank Martin can be proud of. Yes, they've shot the ball extremely well. But what happened different in this game is they defended, they rebounded, they got to the free throw line. And when things got tough, they relied on Chris Silva down low. They got stops, and then 3-pointers came. They didn't rely on the perimeter shot.
Tennessee has just wrapped up its 24th straight home win dating back to last season. They held Vandy to 46 points. Still to come over on ESPN, Kentucky and Mizzou. Dominic Olejniczak at the free throw line. 4 in double figures for South Carolina, led by Silva. 1-1 for Olejniczak. Victory lap. It was funny talking with Frank Martin today. He said, I don't know what to do. My team doesn't play defense. They don't make free throws. I might as well just stand over with you guys and eat shrimp.
He's like, well, we have to shoot the three well. I got to let him play free on offense.
Push ahead to Lawson. A half step on Olenicek, and he'll go to the line, and Dominic Olenicek is done.
And how exciting is this Gamecock team going to be over the years? When you got freshman A.J. Lawson, how explosive he is going down the court in the open floor. Think about Justin Minaya, who will come back next year. He's redshirting. T.J. Moss, who's sitting out with an injury. Keyshawn Bryant, hadn't said his name much tonight, but another fabulous freshman.
I wonder what Justin's dad Omar thinks of the Manny Machado deal. $300 million over 10 years with the Padres.
Just a hair under the extension you signed with ESPN.
Yeah, just a hair. By the way, Omar Minaya with the Mets, he's working on getting our buddy Timmy Tebow ready to make it to the big leagues. 11-point lead for South Carolina. They're taking another look at this one, maybe looking at whether or not it was a flagrant.
It looked like he got him in the face in real time.
Indy face.
He probably could have made a better attempt at the ball.
Yeah, Welcome to America was a great movie with a great line, and that might be a flagrant one. Lawson and Gravett, 8 rebounds each is pretty good from your guards.
Well, I think what Ole Miss has to do after this game is really regroup and say, okay, when we're not able to turn people over, can we get traditional half-court stops? And bottom line is, in this game, they were not able to do that. They gave up way too many open threes, 2 easy baskets down in the post. So if you want to be a complete team, it's great to turn people over, but you got to be able to get traditional stops as well.
And like you getting to work this game, the officials have upgraded as well. They've upgraded that foul to a flagrant 1 after the shot to the head, and then South Carolina will get the ball on the baseline.
It's been a pleasure working with you, and what the greatest thing I've gotten out of it, Tom, the greatest thing I've gotten out of it is I realize I've been really over-preparing and trying way too hard. I've been taking myself way too seriously. Yeah, I've been showing up on time.
You haven't gotten stuck behind any buses.
You know, I just realize all the things I value really don't matter.
I've never before been stuck behind the team bus until I drove you to a game. Usually John Sunvold drives me to the game.
Yeah, you know, we would have been ahead of the bus had you met in the lobby on the right time. So it's the domino effect.
I guess so.
Tom Hart.
Lawson got it. Largest lead of the game for South Carolina. Dane, this is going to be fascinating. South Carolina keeps this up on Selection Sunday. You heard Joe Lunardi talk about the fact that the comp would be Nebraska last year. Had a great record in the Big Ten. They got left behind. But from an optics standpoint, South Carolina is going to get a lot of discussion and a lot of attention. And the question will be, why can't you reward a team for getting better over the course of the season? This is not the same team that lost to Stony Brook or Wyoming.
I thought what was really interesting was when Joe Lunardi educated all of us too and reminded us that the committee doesn't look at your conference record. They just look at your game-by-game results. So even though their conference record is that impressive at what will be 9-4, what will be more impressive is if they can get these quality wins, which they've started with this one, and 2 more really good opportunities over the next week.
Lawson beat the shot clock but didn't get it off. I think this is another great example. Loose ball corralled and stolen by South Carolina. For those of you that are paying attention to the top 3 teams in the league, that's great. Tennessee, Kentucky, and LSU are highly entertaining. They are great teams, and all 3 of them can win a national title. But there is great basketball right behind those top 3. And this is another fine example.
And we talked about it earlier, but this is a battle for potentially a double bye in the SEC tournament. Teams battling for 4th place that South Carolina will take sole possession of.
Campbell does the splits. Here's Gravett. And Ole Miss will have one last possession. Ole Miss will see a 4-game win streak come to an end. And South Carolina will win consecutive games for the first time in a few weeks. The Gamecocks will do it by holding Ole Miss to 38% shooting and just 5 of 23 from 3.
And to me, the biggest number on there, just 10 turnovers. If you protect the basketball against Ole Miss, you've got a great opportunity at getting quality looks.
South Carolina holds Ole Miss without a field goal over the last 7 minutes of this game. The Gamecocks continue their hot scoring in the SEC. They put 79 on the board against an Ole Miss team that held the high-flying Auburn Tigers to 55 just a week ago. And South Carolina finishes this game on an 18-3 run.
Tom, they did it the old-fashioned way, the way Frank Martin wants to win. Start with your defense, pound it inside, and then make open threes.
4 different Gamecocks finish in double figures, and South Carolina shot 47% from 3 for the game. It was a tight one, and it turned a point lead at the half in a 15-point victory. 2 guys wearing team colors want to talk about this one. PB with PB. Gentlemen, all yours.
Thank you, Tom Hart. 79-64. My colors, well, they were a little bit different. I had Ole Miss colors on. You had South Carolina ones. You were looking pretty good. Although I guess I can go for Alabama as well, too. John Petty.
Hey, it's a new tie, man. It's now in the rotation.
7 minutes until Reed Arena. Snowy Reed Arena. If you saw that in College Station, and a little nasty earlier there.
There's no question. I did the game that this is the rematch of at Alabama in Tuscaloosa when T.J. Starks hit that spectacular half-court shot off the backboard. Josh Nebo was huge in that game. They were finding Nebo.
Oh, you've been working on that line. You've been working on that line for 30 minutes and didn't get any better at it, Pat Riley.
I think I've used it too much, actually. It's done.
Nebo,
it's officially done.
Nebo had 21 points in that first matchup. We'll get you updated on that one. About 7 minutes until we head down to College Station. We'll get you highlights of Vandy, Tennessee. But right now, listen, I just posted it on Twitter. How Joe Lunardi and how all the bracketologists don't have South Carolina even in the mix for a tournament bid right now is absolutely blasphemous with the way that they're playing. Another great win for the Gamecocks, and especially with the way they shot it from outside today, 9 of 19 from three-point land.
Okay, I understand what the committee wants to look at. They want to make sure that the entire, the big picture. But I've got South Carolina at Mississippi State on Saturday. Okay, that they go to Mississippi State and and win that game. Now, come on. I understand that their non-conference isn't as glaring and pretty and all that, but they played some tough games. Michigan, and they had some tough losses at home at Stony Brook. I get it. Wofford's a good team though. But you've got to look at a team that gets hot at the end and playing their best basketball in March because let me tell you something, okay? Yeah. It's about coaching. Frank Martin had taken the new backcourt with Lawson and Campbell, had to get those guys working together, Hassani Gravett coming off the bench.
Yep.
So that's part of coach. That's part of the process, man. You got to.
By the way, you know what team wasn't great late into the season? The team that Frank Martin took on a Final Four trip with Sindarius Stowell a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that this team is that good.
It's a process.
But they continue to get better. Absolutely. We'll see Saturday down at the Hump. You'll be on the call for that one. Let's go ahead.